Hi, this is Rahim Zulfiqar, and today in this session we will be learning how to create an analytical dashboard in Microsoft Power BI desktop version. So I have already installed Power BI desktop version, and I am using September 2024 version, so you can check, right? So you can check your version, go to help tab and click on about, and that will show you. So I'm using 64-bit September 2024 version. Okay, so for those of you who don't know how to download and where to download the Power BI desktop version is, you can go to official website of Microsoft, that is powerbi.microsoft.com, where currently we have a September 2024 version available. So you can click on download Power BI desktop. That will redirect you to this page, and you can click on advanced download option, and then you can click on download button. I prefer to download this exe file, which is of 64-bit. Okay, this is almost around 525 MB, and once you download, it's very easy to simple install on your system. Okay, so I'm using Windows, and this is the desktop version. We have a couple of more options available with the Power BI. Eventually you can use a cloud account for the Power BI as well. Okay, so in this session we will be learning how to create dashboard in desktop version. So I have the files. You can also download the files as well, and I will be importing the data through various sources. As you can see, I have created a folder in my local hard drive where I have a data in different type files. So we have Excel files as well, we have Access and Notepad, and what we will be creating is a snowflake schema inside Power BI Desktop. We will be calculating some numbers as well. Okay, so how to get data inside Power BI is you will have couple of options. Either you can go to get data, that will open up a menu, and you can select your data source. So either you are getting or importing data from your Excel workbook, or if you have the access of your servers in your organization, you can connect SQL Server or any other data types you would find. Click on more. That will open up a window where you can find a lot of connectors here, right? So in this particular session we will be importing data from three different sources: Excel, Notepad file, and then Access as well. Okay, one more thing which I prefer to before using Power BI is you can click on file, which is on top left side of this screen. When you click on file, go to option and settings, where you will find options. When you click on that, it will open up a window again. Okay, so we have this option window, and go to preview features and make sure that all the features has been checked marked. Okay, and when you click OK, you can restart your application, so that whatever the interface or features we will be using, you might get the similar interface on your end as well, right? So let's quickly get the data. So I will copy this particular path and we'll go to Power BI from it. All right, so let's import first file, that is superstore data. Let's click open. Okay, so now it's connecting, and it take usually few seconds to get the preview. So we have a navigator window here. We will check mark this date sheet, and we have certain columns here: date, month, year, and quarter. And let's load the data. So simply we are loading the data from different file which are available into a particular folder, and once we get that, we will go to a data model where we create relationships and create a schema out of there. Most commonly there are a common type of schema is a star schema, but when you have some complexity, you can shift towards snowflake schema or some other galaxy consultation. Okay, so we have dates data here. Now we will again go to similar option. Now we will get the products data. So let's import this data as well. These are some very simplified steps. Now here we have a choice: either we can bring the data from the sheet, or inside the sheet we have named products as a name range to this data. So our preference would be, either if the data contains a table structure, we will go with that rather than selecting the sheet. But if we don't have a choice, we will definitely go for sheet then, right? So if it's a name range or it's a table format, go with that. This is the preview. On the right side we have this particular information or table will be known as a dimension table, where we have stored all the products relevant information in a unique way, and that's been identified with an SKU ID. Okay, so let's click on load button. Now that is also being importing, and it will take few seconds to load into the Power BI, right? Let's go again and get the another data from the regions data. And now here again you can see either we have a sheet option or a table. So if we have a table, we can check mark that, and let's click on load button. So far what we did is we have imported data from 3 different Excel files of 3 different scenarios. Now we will go to text or CSV, where we have all the returns data into a text file. Let's click open. Now it will show a different interface. Okay, so we know that our text file is a tab delimiter. We have 2 columns, order ID and status, and let's click on load button. Alright, now we have one access file. So I have click on more, and then I will go to access database. Let's click on connect. Now I need to locate that access file where we have customers and orders data available. Orders is basically known as a fact table, and customers would be known as a dimension table. Alright, so let's connect that and let's bring that data. So we'll bring customers and orders. Let's click on load button. So it will take few seconds to load the data in Power BI desktop. Alright, so once we got the data, initially what we do is we go to transform data, and we open Power Query, and we analyze the data as a data analyst perspective, that if any table or any column required some transformation. But in this particular scenario, because we have not more time, we have less time for the webinar. So what I'm trying to do is we already have a clean data available. Okay, so we don't need to worry about the data quality and data structures because they are all set. Otherwise, if it's not set, then you can use this Power Query tool where you can do a transformation. Okay, so in order to learn Power Query in more advanced, you can go to my YouTube channel, that is Excel Basement, or you can find it out from YouTube search bar, Rahim Zulfiqar. And there are a lot of videos about Power Query transformation data available there. Okay, so let's proceed to the next part. Is once we identify that there is no more transformation of data is required, we go to the model view. And once we go to the model view, we have so far imported different tables from different files, right? 3 tables from Excel file, 1 from the Notepad file, and the Access. So you can see there are tables available here. This is the orders table, this is the fact table. Primarily I try to keep all the you can say dimension tables on top. You can resize so that you can see that. So this is the fact table. Okay, and this is the dimension table. Another dimension table is right here. This is another table. Okay, so all the dimension tables I have put on top in the fact and at the bottom. Now what is relationship and how it's being created? So I hope for those of users who already using Power BI or somewhere have started doing it at your workplace, basically a relationship is being generally created between a fact and dimension table, identifying the common column between them. Okay, so as I hover my cursor on this line, you can see the customer ID is being highlighted here. So why customer ID? Because it's available at the both sides between the customers table and the orders table. And customers is a dimension table where all the records are unique, whereas in the fact table, that is the orders table, there would be the duplications, right? So the customer ID in the dimension table will be known as a primary key, and simultaneously it will be known as a foreign key in the fact table. Okay, now for the other tables we will try to match those columns if they are available between dimension and fact, and if they are, so we will create a relationship from that. Okay, so in the dates table we have a date header, and we will connect with that order date. So you can just drag and drop in that menu will be open, and then you can click on save. Remember that there are not just one kind of a relationship, as you can see here. It's not just one to many, it could be one to one, it could be many to one, or it could be many to many if our data sets are more complex. Okay, so but in this standard webinar, we are trying to facilitate the fundamentals first so that everyone could understand easily. Okay, so we have created a relationship identifying the common column between orders and dates. Right now, let's say between the products and the orders, what could be the common column here? So we have the SKU ID in the products table right here. Okay, so let's click on save. For example, if you have created wrong relationship and later on you want to modify it, no matter, you can do that. You can either double click on that line and then you can select the relevant tables from here. As I said, there are different types of relationships and also the two different types of cross filter direction that contains how your data has been set to normalize. Okay, so let's create a relationship between the other tables as well. So returns data, we have order ID connecting with this. Let's click on save, and that create a line here. And then between table regions, we have two columns, province ID and region, but we don't have a key here to join with that. So we have customers table, that is a dimension table, and this is also a dimension. So we connect these together. Let's click on save. All right, so now we are done with the snowflake schema. Okay, and once we have done this, we can go to this canvas where we can draw some visualizations, we can draw some slicers and apply some calculations on the screen. Okay, so it's very easy to follow. So let's get started. Alright, so let's rename this page. So I will just double click here and rename this as dashboard, or you can rename as sales dashboard, for example. Right now we will go to a table view where you can preview all the tables which you have imported from different sources, and you can go through each of them if there are any calculated columns or any kind of thing or additional calculation which is required. So you can add a new column, click on new column, and you can write a DAX expression to create a new column, and which is being calculated raw by raw. That is known as raw context. Okay, so if I go to the orders table and if I analyze this table, so I will find that I have the order quantity column, I have the unit sell price discount as well, but I don't have the net sell price column, and I don't have the order amount column as well. Okay, these two are missing. So technically we can make inside this particular table. Okay, and how we can do that, we will click on new column, and that will active this formula bar. We can write a DAX here. So let's write net sell price. So what will be the net sell price? That will be definitely eliminating the discounting factor from the unit sell price. So that will come like unit sell price. Okay, and then multiplying it with 1 minus discount. Okay, and let's close the bracket. Now you will add another column, so that will be net sell price will be multiplying with the order quantity. Okay, so let's name that as order amount. So that will be order quantity multiply by net sell price. Okay, let's press enter. Alright, so now we have the order amount column here. Okay, now if you see here, we alright, to identify that the user has added some calculated columns, you can see a different icon here. So it's a small calendar and a sigma sign, small sigma sign, right? So these are the identification that a user has added a calculated columns. And there are some different icons here as well for all those columns which has some certain amounts, which has a sigma in it, right? And the date column has a small calendar icon, right? So what does this mean? Let me show you one thing. If I have the unit sell price as a default column which we imported data from a certain source. When I click on this particular field, the number itself will be calculated. So this is known as implicit measure, and you can change the calculation as well. Just right click, that will open up a contextual menu where you can do average. So it will show you the average of that particular column. You can extract the minimum, you can extract the maximum, you can have a distinct count, or you can have a normal count as well. Okay, so these calculations are being just happening with a one click, and these are known as the implicit measures. Okay, if I click on don't summarize, that will show me as a table all the amounts, right? So I can go with the sum. Now these are the implicit measure. What are explicit measure? If I go to new measure, okay, and that will open up a formula bar where I can put my DAX here, and let me call it as total for the meantime, just to give you an example. So I can write sum, go to the orders table and pick the column which is, let's say, unit sell price. Okay, and let's close the brackets. So now you can see when I create my customized calculation, what happens, that is being created here, and this is a small calculator icon. These are known as the explicit measures. So you can identify now between the different small icons what are those called. Okay, so when I drag this to my canvas, it will show me exactly the same amount. So this is came from the implicit measure, this is came from the explicit measure, where the user has applied the DAX inside the explicit measure. Okay, so I hope the difference would be clear to everyone, right? All right, so this will be the dashboard which we will be making in today's session. Okay, so you can see that this is the solve file. We have this title called advanced sales analytical dashboard. Then we have certain slicers, like if you want to filter year wise, we can select year. Further we can drill down to the quarter wise, or we can go to for a specific any month, right? Now the very important thing for a user to understand is that once you make the layout, before implementing practically, you create a wireframe, and wireframe is a kind of a sketch you discuss with your manager or your colleagues in the organization. Okay, so this is the final layout, and before that we create or iterate the process, and we create some prototypes or wireframes for the dashboard, that what important things we need to put onto the dashboard, what kind of KPI numbers we want to put, what kind of charts or visualizations we want to put. Okay, so this is the entire dashboard which we will be creating shortly on this particular canvas by this particular fields. Okay, so let's get started now. Alright, so let's add first the title or the header here. So we will click on text box, and let's type sales analytical dashboard. Okay, or any other title you would like to give, it's your choice. You can see the formatting area as well. We can do some formatting from here. Okay, let's change the font size. Okay, and let's put it here. Alright, then we need to add some slicers. Okay, so for that we'll go to dates table. Okay, and here we will be adding year, quarter and month. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Let's drag this year field onto the canvas, and we don't need to summarize this, and we need to convert this visual from table to a slicer. So you can see here a slicer option available. Okay, now that will give you a different slicer view. You can change that as well. You can click on this formatting bar, more options, and you can go to slicer settings, where you can have different styles available. You can have a vertical list, tile, drop down between, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and then it will change itself. So for example, if I go for vertical list, so it will give me like this. Okay, so if I go to let's say drop down menu. So now I have the drop down menu for the slicer. So I can resize it, and let's resize and put it somewhere here. Okay, now it's not mandatory that you put here or there. I mean, as I told you that you discuss the prototypes or wireframe with your managers and then you come up with a final layout. Okay, so let's add a quarter, and we will do the similar thing with the quarters as well. So we'll transform this into a slicer. Okay, and we will change that style. Let's go to slicer settings, and we'll keep this as well as a drop down menu for us. So there are a couple of options for the formatting as well. You can explore this later on. Let's add for the month, and we have here we don't need to summarize, so we'll don't summarize, and we have a month numbers here. Okay, now we don't have a month names like Jan, Feb, March, April. We don't have here, as you can see. So we need that, and for adding this, we'll go to the table view, and here in the dates table we can see that we have a date column. You can change the format from here as well. We have a month number column, year and quarter, but we don't have a month name column, so we need to add a calculated column. You can also do this in Power Query as well, and you can do this in this particular front end screen as well. Okay, in the table view. So I'm adding a new column here, and for adding a new column we will be definitely putting here a DAX. So that first give a column name that will be month names, and we will be using format DAX. So we'll say that go to the dates table, pick the date column and transform this as MMM, means short form of every month, and when we close the bracket, press enter, we get all the month names from here. Right now what I will gonna do here is I will just make a cross here, and I will type here month names. This is a quick navigation where you can add field very quickly. Now we have a month list here. Let me increase the font size for this as well. What happening here is that we have a month list, but this is sorted in an alphabetical order from A to Z or Z to A. If I go to more options, either I can sort it to the descending or ascending, that is alphabetically. But as we know that this should be in a chronological order, like from Jan to December. And for correcting that, we will go to this table view in the dates table, where we will select month names, and we will click on sort by column, and we will select the month, which is the numbers. So technically every month has been assigned a number on the back end, and now if I go to back to my canvas, you can see this has been sorted chronologically very correctly. So it's being like Jan to December now. Okay, now I can change the visual not as a table, but I can transform that into a slicer. That's what I want, and in a drop down, or you can do as a tile as well. Okay, and you can resize this in this way. And what more you can do is you can add a select all button as well. So for that you can click on selection, and you can see show select all is by off default, so you can just click to make it on, and that will be added here. Right, and let's put it like here. We don't need this header because it's already understood these are the month names, so we need to hide that. So for doing that, we will turn off the slicer header. Okay, so far we have added slicers in different forms, and I told you how to do chronological sorting in the Power BI as well. Okay, now let's go with extracting some numbers definitely. So what we gonna do is we will be changing this particular explicit measure to as total orders, and we will be sum the order amount column from the orders table that we created as a calculated column. Right, so I will just drag this here, total orders, and that is 14.74 million. Okay, so I can put it anywhere if I want to. I can go to format, and I can change the size of call out value as well. Either I want it 30. I can resize this and I can put it like on top, right? So these are the total orders for all the months, for all the quarters, and for all the years as well. When I click on any year and when I get into the filter like to 2010, so you can see that the number is being changing. This is known as filter context. Okay, now in the year I also need to have a select all, and also in the quarters. So how I gonna do that? I will select the year slicer. I will go to slicer settings and I will make show select all on, so I can have a select all as well. Okay, so in the quarters I will do the same thing. Now I have the select all here as well now. Okay, so let's proceed ahead. Let's create some visualizations here. Alright, so now I will be adding some visualizations so that you can have an idea how to do that. So we need some fields. So I will be creating first visual that will be a bar charts that will show province wise total orders. So let me use the search bar. So we have the province here. Let's drag this, so it will bring the default visual as a table, and what we need is total orders, that then as an explicit measure. So we'll just click on it and that creates a bar chart. Okay, now if we don't want to see all the provinces, we just need to see the top 5 or top 7. So what you can do is you can open this filters menu, and from here you can open the province. You can expand here and it's simply written basic filtering, right? So let me zoom it. So in the filters menu, now we have expanded the province, and in the filter type, instead of basic filtering, we will select top n. And how many items we need to see, you can show either top or bottom as you like. So currently we are more interested to see top 7 provinces, right? And you need to drag this total orders field here and then apply filter. So instead of having all the provinces which were not technically right to see and analyze, we are interested to see the top 7 basically. Okay, alright, you can do further formatting here as well. You can click on more options, you can go to formatting. For example, you need to add data labels, you can click on there are different positions to the data labels as well, inside and outside and inside center and inside base. Okay, and that depends upon you how you want to set it. If you want to make this title to the center, if you want to make it big, I mean these are options are all available here in the formatting menu. Okay, so that's very easy to do it. If you want to change the bar colors, you can change it from here, or you can go to more colors and identify if you are making a dashboard for your organization, you can identify that specific RGB code or hex code, right? Alright, so let me change the color as well. Let's go to bar and let's select this particular color, and let's make it a bit smaller here. Okay, and let's put it right here. Okay, now the next visual which we will be creating is based on product container, based on total orders. So again, the similar step. I hope you are understanding that how easy it is to drag and drop and create some visuals and create some interactivity onto this white canvas. See, the what I want to advise to all the viewers who are watching it live or watching the recording later on, I want to advise it that Power BI is used for business intelligence use cases. So if you are solving any kind of business problem or a challenge in your organization by creating some dashboards or reports, that's a significant use of this particular software. And eventually, if you are a data analyst or business analyst, or you are even a data scientist, you should explore this application. Eventually, you need to have an expertise area onto the data modeling area. So after the webinar, you can search for more content about the data modeling and also the Power Query and DAX as well. Okay, so these are the important components of this application. Once you are expert in that, you can create any kind of a dashboard you want to. So 80% of the time will be take for data transformation and modeling type of things and DAX. The remaining 20% or 30% time always consumed for the layouts. So layouts are not pretty much difficult until unless you create some your own, or you are developing that as a Power BI developer and you want to create your own customized visual for the organization. So particularly we have some built-in visualizations available in the desktop version. You can explore some AI visuals as well. You can also integrate R and Python as well with the Power BI. That's a later on topic. And eventually, if you have the cloud account for Power BI, you can go to more visuals and click on from app source, where you can explore more than 400 or 500 visuals available. Some of them are paid, but mostly are free as well, and you can use that. Okay, so okay, let's finish this particular visual. And what we need is, now we need the total orders field, and let's drag and drop this, and this will be as a bar chart as well. We'll just make sure that the formatting matches, and we'll select this particular color. Okay, now you can also do, you can explore, and I suggest that explore more formatting area. There are lot of options regarding the formatting. Because we have a limited time in this session, so I'm trying to create some more visuals for you so that you can have an idea how it's work. And now at this point of time, you can see that if I select any year from here, you can see the visualizations being updating, and the number of total orders is also being updating. So this is overall known as filter context again. Okay, right. All right, let's go to the third visualization that we will be creating as a donut chart, and we will be applying customer segment to it. Okay, so I will write customer segment and just quickly drag there, and then I will be adding total orders. Definitely this is the field which we are using, and we will transform this as a donut chart. Okay, and that's how it is being created. Now we need to do a formatting here, so let's explore the formatting part. All right, so legend, where we want at, we have a different positions or options for the legend as well. So we need at bottom center, that could be great. We need to turn off the title because it's consuming a lot of space. We need to make sure that this color theme should be changed. So we can go to slices and we can change the color types as you like. Okay, all right, you can increase the size of this detail labels as well. Okay, the detail labels, we have a different options available. Either we can show only data value, percentage of total, or you can have all detail labels like this as well. So you can turn off this legend as well because it's showing here as well. Okay, so that's a good option as well. What I can do, I can turn off the, so I can turn off the legend from here. Okay, and I can make it a resize like this. Okay, okay, let's add another two more visuals. So let's have a ship mode. Okay, and ship mode based on total orders again. So we'll say that total orders, and that will be as a clustered column chart, right? And that could be as in, you can add data labels, turn on the data labels. And my advice would be that when you turn on the data labels, you can switch off the vertical axis. That will save your this space as well, right? So that could be handy because we have a limited space on the dashboard canvas. All right, let's change the color. All right, now see, let me tell you why data modeling is very important. And then we need total orders. Let's drag and drop, and let's change it to a line. Okay, and again you can do formatting as well. So how the line style you want, how the join type you want, that's up to you. What kind of color you want, you can set here. Let's make a bit dark. Right, now what happens when I click on any year? Now see, This is the filter context. Everything is keep on changing, right? So this is interactive and dynamic dashboard. Even if I click any one attribute inside a visual, for example, if I just click on delivery truck, every other visual will filter itself to that particular number. I mean, that's awesome, right? See, so these are intuitive dashboards. Again, if I go to other visual and if I want to see just cooperate with other visuals, I can click on cooperate here, and that's being filtered as well, right? Alright, so now let's add some more calculations. So now we will be calculating the returns value. Okay, so how to calculate? So if I go to table view and if I check my returns data, so in the returns data I just have two columns, the order ID and the status. So every order which has been returned we have recorded in this table with the order ID and the status in front of it, like returned. Okay, but if I want to calculate the total orders which has been returns as an amount, how do I calculate? Because that order ID amount is not in this particular table, but that is in a fact table orders, right? So we have that order ID. So again, the data modeling is very crucial because we have created a relationship between those tables. So we can put a DAX here, and what that DAX is, let me explain you. If you use sum ifs or count ifs in Microsoft Excel, in Power BI we don't have a straightforward sum ifs or count ifs. We can use a DAX called calculate, okay, for these kind of criteria based aggregations. So how we're gonna do that? First, let's name as returns, and now we will use calculate. So calculate has initially two arguments. The first is the expression, that what type of number you want to get returned by calculate. So I want to get sum, average, count, max, min. So I will put that particular function in expression. And how to filter, I mean how you define the criteria. So it will technically work like sum ifs and count ifs if you use in Excel. Okay, so let's say that in the expression either we can write like sum go to orders table and then return the order amount calculation. So instead of writing this similar equation, because we have already stored this particular logic as an explicit measure, so we'll call that explicit measure. Okay, so that is known as total orders. So I don't need to write sum and then again selecting the table and column name. I can call another explicit measure inside another explicit measure. Okay, then in the filter criteria we will say that go to the returns data table and filter all the status which has been returned. So I will put that into an inverted commas and let's close that. Okay, so now it's been calculating. So I got the returns here and I can put it like on my dashboard. So it says 1.62 million amount has been returned. Now it's a cash outflow. So what we can do ahead is we can multiply this with -1. So that will technically as a cash outflow, that will shown as a -1. Okay, all right, so I can go here and I need to resize this. So it's very simple. You can go to formatting, call out value, let's resize, and that's it. Okay, now I need to calculate the net orders. So how I can calculate net orders? Total orders subtract the returns amount, right? That will be the net orders. So that's very simple. I will click on new measure. So I will be calling two explicit measure in this particular explicit measure, right? Let's name it as net amount or net orders, you can say. So that will be total orders. Now here I will be putting plus because returns is already in minus, so plus minus will be ultimately minus. Okay, and let's press the enter key. So let's drag this onto the canvas. So that's the net orders, 13.12 million. Okay, Let's resize this and put it here. Let's find a count of all the products. So we can take the help of either explicit measure or implicit measure. So let's say implicit measure. So we have the product names. So that will list all the products name, but what we can do is we can do the aggregation count distinct, okay, and that returns 1263 products. So let's resize this and let's make it here, right? So this is how you write DAX whenever you need to do a certain kind of calculation. This is similar like when you use Microsoft Excel and you want to do some calculation, or you apply functions or formulas as per your logic. Similarly, in Power BI, we apply the DAX for certain calculations.